Breaking news, the notorious apartment arsonist has been caught. The city had been living in fear of a calculated menace, a predator who stalked the quiet halls of towering apartment buildings. He moved under the cover of night, igniting sparks of chaos in his wake. Now let's begin our story. The stage was a sky-high building, a labyrinth of corridors and stairways, each apartment a world unto itself, all tucked away under a moonlit night. It was 3 o'clock, a tranquil hour where dreams held sway over reality. Suddenly a spark ignited, a whisper of a flame that danced in the darkness, unnoticed and undeterred. The residents were oblivious to their pending nightmare. The flame, once a whisper, now roared into a monstrous blaze. The once peaceful night was punctuated by the crackling of burning timber, alarms ringing out their warnings, and a heart-stopping realization. The building was ablaze. The tenants scrambled out of their homes, panic-stricken and disoriented, their faces etched with confusion and fear. Amidst the pandemonium, a chilling realization dawned. This was not an accident. This fire was a deliberate, malicious act. As the smoke cleared, the questions began to form. The once vibrant apartment complex was now a charred skeleton, a grim reminder of the fire's wrath. The smell of burnt wood lingered in the air, a stark contrast to the usual pleasant fragrance of the neighborhood. Now, the aftermath was all that remained. The first responders had done their job, battling the flames with fierce determination and unwavering courage, but now, it was time for a different kind of hero to step in. The investigators arrived, their eyes scanning the desolation with a mix of curiosity and resolve. They were the detectives of disaster, the seekers of truth in the ashes, the firefighters seasoned by countless battles with the unpredictable beast called fire, had noticed something. The fire's origin was suspicious. It wasn't a simple spark from a faulty wire or an overheated appliance. No, this was something different. The pattern of the burn, the intensity of the flames, it all pointed towards a chilling possibility. Arson. Arson, the crime of intentionally setting fire to property, a crime committed in the shadows, its perpetrator hidden behind a veil of smoke and deceit. But every fire tells a story, and this one was screaming arson. The investigators, with their trained eyes, couldn't ignore the signs. They began to piece together the puzzle, each charred fragment a clue to the fire's origin and cause. The suspicion of arson wasn't a wild guess, it was a calculated assumption based on years of experience and countless investigations. The fire had been too fierce, too destructive to be a mere accident. It was as if the flames had been fed, encouraged to grow and consume everything in their path. As the investigators sifted through the ashes, the reality became clearer. This wasn't just a fire, it was a crime scene. The apartment complex, once a symbol of community and safety, was now a testament to a sinister act of destruction. The fire was no accident, but a deliberate act, a crime. The suspicion was now a certainty. The hunt for the truth, the pursuit of justice had only just begun. Scene 2 had ended, but the story was far from over. With a crime scene at hand, detectives step in. As the smoke clears from the charred apartment building, the investigation swings into full gear. Detectives, like seasoned artists, begin their work, sketching the broad strokes of the incident. They walk through the scorched skeleton of the apartment, gathering tangible evidence, bits of debris, blackened furniture, and most importantly, fire accelerants. Each piece is a potential key to unlocking what really transpired here. Parallel to this forensic endeavor, another equally crucial process unfolds. The detectives initiate conversations with the apartment's residents. These interviews, often brimming with raw emotion and confusion, are a goldmine of information. Each tenant's account, each recollection of that fateful day, slowly pieces together the larger narrative, like a jigsaw puzzle. Amid the numerous testimonies, certain names begin to surface more frequently than others, sowing the seeds of suspicion. There's Mrs. Jenkins, the elderly woman from apartment 12, who was known for her heated disputes with the landlord. Then there's the mysterious Mr. Black from apartment 7, who kept mostly to himself, his aloofness causing unease amongst the other tenants. But as the detectives delve deeper, their gaze keeps returning to one tenant in particular. The tenant from apartment 5, who strangely enough, was away during the incident. A person whose past is as murky as the charred remains of the building. A person whose alibi seems a bit too perfect, a bit too rehearsed. This tenant, let's call him John Doe, starts to become the focal point of the investigation. His behavior, his past, and his convenient absence during the fire all begin to paint an interesting and suspicious picture. The detectives start to probe further, to peel back the layers of John Doe's story. They start to dig into his past, into his relationships with the other tenants, and into his possible motives. As the investigation progresses, the detectives find themselves drawn into a web of intrigue. The mystery deepens, the stakes rise, and the plot thickens. One person in particular began to stand out from the rest. The spotlight is now firmly on John Doe. The investigation continues. Sometimes the truth hides in the most unexpected places. In the heart of the investigation, a significant breakthrough emerges. A latent fingerprint, almost invisible to the naked eye, is found on a shard of glass from a broken window at the fire-ravaged apartment. This fingerprint, a whisper of a presence, is the first concrete link connecting our main suspect to the site of the Inferno. Our suspect, a seemingly ordinary individual with an unblemished record, is now tied to the scene with the discovery of this tiny yet crucial evidence. A single fingerprint, a unique identifier, a silent signature left behind. It's a tantalizing connection that breathes new life into the investigation, pushing our story into an intriguing new direction. But how does this fingerprint connect the suspect to the crime scene? Well, the answer lies in the marvels of modern forensics. Each fingerprint is unique, as individual as the person it belongs to. When this fingerprint is run through the database, it matches perfectly with our suspect. A match that opens the door to a world of possibilities, a world where our suspect is no longer just a suspect, but a probable perpetrator. Yet the fingerprint is not the only piece of the puzzle. A series of mysterious phone calls traced back to our suspect, made to the apartment complex's maintenance line, further tightens the noose. These calls, made in the days leading up to the fire, were about a supposed gas leak in the apartment, the same apartment that would later go up in flames. The timing of these calls, the fingerprint at the scene, the suspect's known presence in the area on the day of the fire, all these elements intertwine and intersect, forming a complex web of evidence. Each thread of this web, each clue, points unerringly towards our suspect, painting a picture that's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. As the investigation progresses, the landscape of the mystery begins to shift. The shadows recede, and the silhouette of the truth starts to take shape. The pieces of the puzzle, once scattered and unrelated, are now falling into place. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place. The moment of truth was upon us. The air crackled with anticipation as the confrontation loomed. An ordinary apartment complex was about to become the stage for an extraordinary revelation. The suspect, until this point just another face in the crowd, was soon to be unmasked. The tenants, innocently going about their daily lives, were oblivious to the fact that they were sharing their home with an arsonist. The suspect stood, cornered, a deer caught in the headlights of truth. The walls closed in, each brick echoing the undeniable evidence. The arsonist, once shrouded in the shadows of anonymity, was now in the spotlight, the focus of a collective gasp of disbelief. As the evidence was laid bare, the motive became clear. A twisted tale of revenge, a spark ignited by a perceived slight that had been fanned into a raging inferno. It was a chilling reminder of how one person's resentment can blaze a trail of destruction, leaving in its wake a smoldering heap of lives upended. The tension was palpable, the air thick with shock and disbelief. Eyes wide, hearts pounding, the tenants could scarcely believe what they were hearing. The arsonist, their neighbor, their friend, was now a stranger. Someone they thought they knew had been replaced with a menace that had been living among them, hidden in plain sight. As the chilling confession echoed through the room, the tenants recoiled. The realization was a bitter pill to swallow. Their homes, their sanctuary, had been violated in the most heinous way. Their trust, once freely given, was now a casualty of this twisted tale. The scene ended not with a bang, but with a whimper. The shock was too great, the betrayal too deep. As the suspect was led away, the tenants were left to grapple with the reality of the situation. Their world had been turned upside down, their sense of safety shattered. The mystery was solved, the arsonist unmasked. In the face of the law, no crime goes unpunished. As the embers of the fire cooled and the smoke cleared, the resolution was swift and decisive. The arsonist, now unmasked, was apprehended without a moment's respite, his malicious intent extinguished. The tenants, once tormented by the fear of a faceless menace, breathed a collective sigh of relief. They were no longer victims but survivors, their homes a testament to their resilience. Their gratitude was palpable, a silent salute to the relentless pursuit of justice. A special commendation goes to the firefighters and investigators. Their swift action and rigorous efforts not only saved lives, but also ensured that justice was served. Their unyielding determination and dedication remind us that in the face of adversity, there are always heroes ready to rise. An apartment building once on fire, now a beacon of justice. A stark reminder that no matter how intense the flames of crime may burn, they will always be extinguished by the unwavering force of justice.